Lineups for both teams, and Derek Coleman is the one listed to jump centre. O'Neal is the one we expected to see, but we've talked about it before. The lineup that the United States there put O'Neal in for Coleman, and we reckon that's their best five. But I'm sure we're going to see that five play together. Don Nelson, yes, you can see he started 5 different lineups in 6 games, and he can shuffle this lineup in and out. It's nice to have that much talent at your disposal. Referees for this game, the Polish referee and one from Uruguay, Isaac Glass and Boslav Zik. And they have the honour, and it is an incredible honour for the referees to be chosen as the 2 referees for the gold medal game. Lindsay, it really stamps them as number 1 and 2.
Well, I mentioned earlier in the tournament, the referees are competing amongst each other just the same as the players are, that they're all very keen to be recognised as the top of their profession. And these 2 referees will be saying, well, they're the gold medal performance of all of the officials in this. And I think the general comment around, and I've talked to some of the coaches and people of the officials and so forth, that the broad opinion is that this officiating at this tournament has been the best that they have from top to bottom. There's been a high degree of consistency, and there's an understanding of the players that they know, although there has been a bit of a complaint by some that they say for all games they have international rules, but when you play the United States, you play NBA rules. So there's a little bit of a variation, but by and large, the officials have done a very good job in this tournament.
Well, Sean Kemp was the one to jump centre for the United States. Interesting to watch the players all walk around and shake hands with each other before. I'm sure there'll be plenty of feeling in this game. There's one guy who didn't shake a hand out there, and that was Sean Kemp. He is out there very fired up and firing up the first shot. But Derek Coleman fires up a 3, and that's one of the problems that he's going to cause, because he can work it close to the bucket and take it outside as well. Bazarevich stopped there by Joe Dumas, so Dumas has the job on Bazarevich. Joe Dumas will know he's been in a basketball game, chasing this guy around the whole time, trying to penetrate, and Dumas wins the ball off him. So points decision early for Dumas. Kevin Johnson trying to penetrate. Coleman again, and 2 more points and a foul, so Derek Coleman can step up, and look at his teammates. They're up and up for this one. We'll see it again, the drive from Derek Coleman. There's Mikhailov, but the foul will go against Kisurin.
Seems like a fairly soft foul there. I think that the referees are a bit keen to call a foul early in the game to make sure that they let the players know who's boss.
6 points been scored in the game. They all belong to Derek Coleman. That will change very quickly. Bazarevich, he's the penetration problem. Grachiev gets the starting spot. Fetisov on the bench. Remember, he can't play. He's out there with an ankle injury. And Joe Dumas from a long way downtown bangs a 3. And I think the tone has been set very early in this one, in the first minute and 20 seconds. Fakes and gets them up there. The tip on the end of it from Grachiev doesn't go. The United States have the ball. We're playing the final. This is for the gold medal. And the US is off to a quick start. They were first out of the blocks. And now Russia, the question being popped to them is, can they reel them in? They blocked the shot of Kevin Johnson. Now the speedster Bazarevich takes Miller to the hoop and scores. Hasn't he got some quicks?
Well, I mean, he had a fundamental advantage there, that he can run faster backwards than Miller frontwards than Miller can backwards. Miller was backpedaling just as fast as he could possibly go. Bazarevich just overtook him.
And the left-handed hook underneath from Sean Kemp. He has just got so many moves underneath the basket. Too good for the defence that time. And it's again a 9-point break. It's so disheartening when you have to work so hard at this end to score a basket, and they come back to score one so easily against you. Karasiev down the middle, feeds it off, and the 2 goes to Kisurin. Penetration for Karasiev was good. Down the big three from Miller. You got Dumas on one side, Miller on the other, and Kevin Johnson to distribute the ball in the middle. It's an awfully potent set.
I mean, he shot that with a hand in his face as well. It wasn't like he was standing there wide open without some pressure.
Here's that move from back. In low they go to Coleman, dumping off to Kemp, and went for the dunk but laid it over the rim. Sean Kemp, 22-10. They've piled up 22 points in the first 4.5 minutes. That's sort of a scoring clip. It could be a very big one. That's around the 170 points per game mark. I don't expect that. But Coleman gets Johnson going. To Dumas, stops and pops for another three. They are 3 of 3, or 4 of 4 now from outside the big circle. Remembering that it is closer under FIBA rules than it is in the NBA, so it becomes an easier shot. Mikhailov, a sweet 2, but answering a 3 with a 2 means you go down further. 25 plays 12. Dumas sends them into the air and comes back with another 2.
Well, I think the United States are demonstrating a new level to the game for anything that they've shown so far in the tournament. You can see how there's a look of determination on their players, very strong pressure all the way through, and I think the Russians are maybe just, I got to question their strategy in trying to shoot with them. On this basis, they'll get blown out.
Number 4, Joe
Coleman underneath. Sends it to Johnson. Dumas. Like a layup. Come back live. Well, they may be unbeatable, but time will tell. Into the hands of Dumas as they steal the ball. Another turnover against Russia. Dumas gets a 3 off again, and that, Lindsay, is their first miss of the ball game, and it's come after 6 minutes. Vazarevic got some extra steps in there, was led away with it. Mikhailov wasn't able to get a hand at that. Derek Coleman for 2 more. They fouled him as well, and Coleman will go to the strike. Have a look at it. This is an extra step there from Vazarevic. The full court, 2-handed pitch pass. And Coleman shoves it down the chute. They hit him as well, and he steps to the line.
And that was from a left-hander. Off his wrong foot, buried it down. The United States are on a mission.
Derek Coleman at the strike. What a start he's made. 10 points already. Make it 11. And 30-12. Must be awfully disheartening for this Russian team. Karasiev. Domini out there for Russia. That's him with the basketball now. Babkov in the left-hand corner. Kissarin goes past the defense, and Mikhailov with the follow, can't make it. Kissarin underneath, and they reject that.
Come on now. I mean,
Carl, look at Coleman and Kemp.
Coleman had him in a bear hug there. Absolute bear hug, and boy.
Vazarevic on the bench. Have a look at it again. See if you see a foul in here. Well, get the reaction from Kissarin and get the reaction from the 2 defenders, Coleman and Kemp. And Sergei Belov, the coach, having plenty to say about it. Kissarin backing Kevin Johnson in and trying to take advantage of the size, but he's got to get the help as well. Johnson couldn't handle the size of Kissarin. And he will go to the free throw line. A 3rd team foul against the United States, 3 against Russia. So the score line really telling against Russia right here.
Belov still hasn't settled down after that last move when Coleman was racking Kissarin, and he was pointing to one of the leaders of FIBA on the bench, and I think he was the one who was saying that when you play the United States, you play NBA rules.
And in it goes.
2 points.
2 points, so it's a 1 and a 2 makes a 3. And they needed everything there. 30 plays 15. 30 plays 15 and 7 minutes gone. Reggie Miller drains another 3 from the corner. They are perfect from outside the 3-point line. 2 to Coleman, 2 to Miller, 1 to Dumas. In fact, 2 or 3 to Dumas. Have a look at it again. The foul, the reach-in foul from Reggie Miller. And on the free throw line goes Dimitri Dominique. So they come down and they can score a pair of free throws, which they can't, and give up a 3 at the other end. It's going to be an awfully long afternoon here at the Skydome in Seattle, in front of an enormous crowd. We had a record the other day of 27,000 in here for basketball, and we'll see that broken today because there are many more than that. Miller for another 3. Is that what's known as the Miller highlight?
And that's a long-range shot off one dribble from 3-point land. And normally you'd be telling your players to switch on that.
Babcock
tries to do the same thing, and that's the difference in talent level.
Coleman. So good handling the ball at 6'9", into Kemp at 6'10". And that's what you do with the basketball. Dominique Wilkins jumps to his feet as Kemp just slams another 2. Dominique being harassed here by Reggie Miller and fires the shot up but not in.
That's not going to work.
They've done it again. Johnson to Dumas and bam. Sorry, it's to Coleman. He had Dumas out there as well. Coleman just with an emphatic dunk. Karasiev steps inside Kemp. The defense was just too good, forcing him into the bad shot. And Coleman acknowledges that is a Russian ball. So we're going to see Bazarevich come back. Have a look at the dunk again from Coleman. So Bazarevich comes in and out goes Karasiev. Had a great start, Derek Coleman. And Bazarevich, I saw someone in the paper today suggest that Bazarevich will have to slow things down. I don't think he knows how to do that. Mikhailov with a left-handed hook that doesn't go. Dumas off to the races and he can't pull that one in. Coleman blames himself. And look at the talent they've got on the bench to come in just yet. Wilkins, O'Neal, Price. What a lineup. You're leading it by 40 to 16 and you haven't changed your starting 5. Been playing 9 minutes. They tried to go for the lob pass and connect with Babcock on the end of it. Defense was right there. Dumas kicks it out. They kick it on again. Kemp backs it in to score. Can't do it. Finally he does. They had to make 3 moves at least against Kissarin. So Kissarin could thank himself lucky on that one because at least he forced Kemp into a couple of moves. Into Mikhailov. And blocking the dunk, but coming up with a foul anyway. Derek Coleman. So have a look at that as Mikhailov goes for the dunk along the baseline. And you can't see the contact there because it's obscured by the board.
Well, I have some sympathy on Coleman on that. That was a tremendous athletic move, but I didn't have too much sympathy for him before when he was in a bear hug with his opponent. But that was a great block there with something that looked like an imminent dunk.
Well, you've seen Mark Price come into the game. He's replaced Kevin Johnson. In fact, they don't lose a lot in that. And in fact, they could up the scoring potential because Price is more likely to shoot from outside than is Johnson. It's him with the basketball now, dumping to Kemp. Rolling to the hoop and underneath to Derek Coleman. Sends them into the air. The referees opt not to call the foul. I think more in sympathy than anything else. Kissarin pulls down the rebound and Russia on their way. Dominique quickly to Babcock and the foul on the end of it goes against Joe Dumas. So Babcock will go to the line to shoot a pair.
You mentioned before that Mark Price, you might not lose much with Kevin Johnson. I'd suggest that Bazarevich would rather play against Mark Price than Johnson. Johnson was doing a very good job with his one-on-one defence, preventing Bazarevich from making the drive. I think Mark Price might have just a little bit more difficulty in doing the same job. But at the other end of the floor, Price can fill it up just as well.
And look out. The Shaq is back. 21 points a game. Babcock at the free throw line. And now they've got Shaq and Kemp pairing up in the front court. On the wing you've got Dumas and Miller with Price to run things. And pulled out of the hoop with two hands. I mean, most people think they've done a pretty good job if you can swat one off the hoop. To just go up and pull one out with two hands, it's something else. Price for three. And Mark Price keeps that three-point string going. 7 of 8 they've shot from three-point range now, and 45 plays 18. Dimitri Dominique. Nosov in there for the Russians. He's wearing number 15, the big 7-footer. He doesn't look so big on the other side of Shaquille O'Neal. Babcock looking to take Dumas on, but here's an outstanding defensive player. Keeps the feet there. Kissel in with a pump fake and used up too much clock. No basket on that one. They exceeded the 30-second clock. Sergei Belov just looks on and said, well, at least we stopped the United States scoring for 30 seconds. Off the hoop it goes. Sean Kemp on the turnaround, goes underneath to O'Neal and blocks. Blocked by Nosov. So O'Neal's first shot is shoved down his throat by this man Nosov. Bazarevich looking for a path to the hoop, goes past O'Neal, scoops it to Nosov, and it's blocked by Sean Kemp. What an exhibition we're seeing here. O'Neal off Mark Price, shoves it down the chute for another two in almost nonchalant fashion. Up off the glass for two at the other end was Dimitri Dominique. So 47 plays 20. The scorer kept busy. O'Neal with yet another dunk.
Shaquille O'Neal.
What sort of a final is this?
Foul of the period.
This time he dumps to Kemp, and Kemp dumps it through the hoop.
That's deadly. You just play behind a man like O'Neal. He gets the ball inside. He has a choice of whatever he likes to do. He can take it to the basket himself, draw some help, go up himself, or in that case, dump it. You can't let him receive the ball as easy as that and get away with it.
Mikhailov. O'Neal fights Kemp for the rebound and brings it up to Sean Kemp. The 6'10" man. Inside to O'Neal, just two men used on that play, and off the hands of Shaquille O'Neal, the Russians have the basketball. Have a look at it again. Kemp, that last pass, dumps it to, so O'Neal dumps it to Kemp, two fairly easily, 52 plays 23. Nosov caught with it, nice pass underneath, but had to fire off a quick shot. That was Dominique. Kemp, Wilkins in the basketball game, and expect to see some highlights from this man. They fouled him this time. He has to step to the free throw line. The foul will go against Mikhailov.
Mikhailov has committed his third personal foul.
There's Wilkins, Mikhailov all over the top of him.
For the USA, number 12, Dominique.
And Dominique steps to the free throw line. Born in France, Dominique Wilkins. I'm sure the French would have loved to have had him. Haven't seen the French at this tournament. They weren't able to qualify through the European qualification, but a nation that is getting better, Lindsay.
Yes, that unfortunately for them that they're in one of the toughest qualification pools in the world, and Spain, Croatia, Greece usually are ahead of them, and Germany have made tremendous progress in the last few years. They're up there as well, so France have come next in line, although they've done very well with their club teams. Their club team, Limoges, won a couple of European Cups, so they're not far away from it, but their national team is a little bit down.
Mark Price's 3 takes that lead to 34 points now. All the while we go, all the while the lead builds. Can't get the roll there, Domini, and away come the United States again through Mark Price. O'Neal down the middle. The path just clears every time he gets the ball. You can't blame the defenders when he comes at you with some head of steam up. Shaquille O'Neal, the most dominant player in the tournament, and get that out of here.
Well, I've got to be a little bit critical here. Russia is playing extraordinarily unintelligently. They're taking poor shots. They're just playing a one-on-one game. They're getting buried almost every time down the floor. The shooting percentage is dreadful, and they just haven't made an adjustment yet. They simply have to make an adjustment. They can't keep playing like this.
Well, Domini again. They go. This time, Domini makes it 3.
What's his second strike he's made after about 5 misses? But it's not just the fact that he's making them or missing them. It's the timing of that.
So it's Marley at the point. Gets the shot up but not in, and run down by the Russians. Domini has to run to pull this one in. There's no chance of a fast break here. Now Domini goes inside to Nosov. Babcock waiting for it, but they go. Plenty of ball handling here. Pashutin, and that is better.
That's better offense for Russia, although Nosov might have been able to make the dunk. He just lost the handle on the ball. But with a bit of motion like that, I think that they will have a higher percentage chance.
Mark Price, and the price is right for the 3. 67-31. Domini pulls it up and can't score it. Nosov got fingertips on it, controlled it to his teammate Kissarin. But Wilkins cuts it out. The pass that was meant for Domini. Hands off to Marley, up off the glass for an easy 2. Now Babcock, well, they're running up and down now, but Babcock comes back and hits a 3. Back to a 35-point game at 69-34. So we've already seen 100 points scored in this game. There's 2 minutes remaining in the first half. Well, O'Neal lost his feet there and forced into a travel. Tried to see a shot, make a shot that we haven't seen from him before. Babcock again tries for 2 in a row, and there's not a lot of percentage in that. Price waits for O'Neal to join the action and penetrates, dishes out Marley, and tried to find Price on the baseline, but the pass was way ahead of him. Now Dominique quickly to the other end and makes the dunk. Marley couldn't stop him. So something for the fans behind the Russian team to shout about, but there hasn't been a whole lot. O'Neal, man!
Get out of my way, man.
He just throws Nosov around like a wet rag. And Pashutin comes back and has to make a rather awkward shot to get 2.
Nosov always looks like he's running the last 5K of a marathon. He's done very well, but he's overmatched here.
Now Wilkins. O'Neal wants it again, but Wilkins dumps in and almost loses it. Marley to Price. 40 seconds left in the half. Price arches it up there. Larry Johnson to O'Neal, and showed us something different on that one.
With Pike.
Waiting for the dunk, yeah. 1.5 with Twist and Pike. Nosov looking to take O'Neal on. Now that's a brave move. Fires up the hook shot that was nowhere near the basket. Now Marley. Wilkins is waiting for it. And what, we got a travel, or did he step on the end line? We'll have a look at it again. We're having a look at O'Neal. Get rid of the waist, get rid of Nosov, and just make the dunk. Shovel it in, Larry Johnson. Another one. A little bit of a pump on that one. 16 seconds left in the game, or in the half. I think it was the game by the look of the score. 73 playing 38. And Russia want to make the last basket of the half. Who could blame them? Babcock backs it off and scores. So that will be the halftime score in a game where 113 points were scored in the first half. The United States, going for the gold, lead Russia 73 points to 40 as we leave you once again, momentarily this time, half a game still to come from the Toronto Skydome. Who didn't play in the first half, set to jump centre, so an idea of the kind of talent that's on the bench. You're leading by 33 points and you can bring in someone like Morning to jump centre. Dumas back in the basketball game, so we've got Kevin Johnson to handle the ball. Morning, Miller and Kemp out there, and they make their first shot. Even when they miss, they make them. 76 plays 40 as Joe Dumas hits the three. Bazarevich back in the game. He's with Babcock in the backcourt. That's Bazarevich right now. Kisarin sets the screen and Bazarevich down the middle, and there's been some talk about that at halftime, I guess. Asking Bazarevich to take the hoop. Kemp at the other end. Saw two different styles there. Bazarevich is certainly a lot smaller than Kemp. Go down the middle and sneak through a layup. Well, there was nothing sneaky about Kemp. On the turnaround, Babcock.
Well, we never saw too much of Bazarevich in the first half. He wasn't able to exert an influence, and I'm not too sure how fit he is. That's a good knock away there from Mikhailov, but the United States are shooting 72% of two-pointers and 75% of three-pointers. And already in this game, they have taken more shots than Greece did in the entire game of two-pointers of their match against Croatia. So what that indicates is a lot of laps up and down the floor. I think the more that's done, the more the United States will like it. There's a rainbow.
That one was an incredible shot from Mikhailov, and back they come to Dumas. Kemp down the middle to Morning.
Number 14.
And Morning has broken free. 80 plays 44 after 2 minutes in the second half. And watch what Russia can do this time. They've come out in a fairly deliberate plan. Well, that's is that part of the plan? I'm not sure. Didn't see any reaction from Sergei Belov, the coach. And he's going to bring in Ivanov. So that's an indication of just where the game is, because Ivanov has hardly played through the tournament. He turns around and sees Dumas scored. 82-30 to 44, so a 38-point break. Remember, it was 33 at half-time. Down the middle. Nothing there for Babcock, just a loss of the ball. And a loss to the United States as Miller watched that one sail right over his head. I think he looked at it and couldn't believe the pass was for him. Well, here's Kemp.
Number 13.
That's doing it one way.
Placing number 7, Evgeny Kasurin.
Now Kemp. There's another way. Alonzo Morning. So Bazarevich with Johnson on him. One of the better defenders on this team. They go across to Babcock, who pulled the trigger from a long way out on the last one. Trying to make space and dump down to Mikhailov, and the shot goes in. Under some pressure from Morning, so it was a nice little shot from Mikhailov. And wait for Morning to catch up and play some 5-on-5. Dumas as Morning sets the screen to get rid of Babcock. Morning! Now, why doesn't everybody run a screen and roll like that?
Well, I've no doubt whatsoever that Russia is feeling the effects of last night's game. That those are the sorts of moves that were not happening by...
Count the two. Alonzo Morning with a goaltend. Have a look at it. Have a look at that last dunk from Morning, but we go back the other end, and Alonzo Morning calls for the goaltend, and count 2 to Bazarevich.
Sean Kemp.
So Larry Johnson replaces Sean Kemp. Done plenty of damage, but Johnson can do his own brand of damage. Ivanov is in there. And the shot goes in again from Alonzo Morning. Loss of the ball.
Perhaps at this time, Phil, I'll put you on the spot. Could you think of who you'd select in your all-star team from the tournament?
Oh, well,
You're going to pick the all-star team that's out on the floor now, I suppose.
It'd be fairly easy to pick. But no, I picked the 5 that we talked about. If we're talking about an all-star 5. Wilkins knocks one in from three-point country. I'd be looking at the likes of Kevin Johnson, Joe Dumas. Reggie Miller, Shaquille O'Neal and Sean Kemp. I think it'd be hard to go past them.
No one from any other country?
I don't think so. Nosov gets the shot up there, but not in. Price, they've got 3-on-3. Larry Johnson misses the layup, and away comes Russia. They've got numbers at the other end right now. Babcock slips it out the back, and they can't make the three from Karasiev. Couldn't follow it up either. Well, Price tried the catch there, the one that, like the football catch over the shoulder when you're running in the same direction as the ball. And Johnson ran in to Morning on that play. Well, they're doing wind sprints right now. It's headed end to end. And Dominic Wilkins gets a hand in there. We'll see that again. That end-to-end play, Price. Larry Johnson. And in fact, it looked like Nosov might have gotten a piece of that. Then Price took the shot.
13, Shaquille O'Neal.
Follow up. Nothing doing.
14, Alonzo Mourning.
So we're going to see a change in the lineup. O'Neal in for Mourning. I guess if there's been a disappointment in this lineup, Lindsay, the United States team, it's been Larry Johnson for mine. I haven't seen a great deal from him.
Well, his reputation, I think, is that leads you to believe that he would have the same sort of impact as O'Neal. But that hasn't been the case. And you just wonder how much he might have in reserve. Sometimes it's very difficult for players to fit into an all-star team where they're not receiving the ball in the same locations at the same frequency as they might with their own club teams. O'Neal has had no problems in adjusting, but I think in Johnson's case, he might need a little bit more of the ball to get into the flow of the game to have the same type of impact as O'Neal.
More along the lines of whether Charlotte Hornets are playing a bit too much fun.
Oh. Well, you could say the same thing with Tony Kukoc.
Babcock hits two from the wing. 102 to 63. 9.5 minutes to go. Dominic Wilkins backs it away and hits. And he is still a very efficient player. 32 years old. And it's all there. Bazarevich goes around Mark Price. Terrific pass to Nosov. And he's fouled immediately by the man we were talking about before, Larry Johnson.
USA foul.
He's done nothing spectacular with the ball. Hasn't actually been a bull on the boards either. Hasn't had a lot of minutes.
Larry Johnson.
And he's put Nosov at the free throw line.
Returns.
Bazarevich and Nosov have combined very well in that 2-on-2 screen and roll game. Pretty much the same as O'Neal and Kevin Johnson do just as well.
I've got a feeling Nosov's going to come out of this tournament a better player. He certainly wasn't a starter coming in, and he's played a lot of minutes. The team's only 7-footer at this level. If you can play, you're going to get a lot of minutes. And Nosov, well, he's justified all the minutes he's had because he's put in a wholehearted effort.
I think he was very pleased. He had a bit of a smile on his face coming back there.
Three-pointer from O'Neal. I don't think so.
Free throws.
Price, and gets Price's shot out of here. That was Nosov with the block. Dominic Wilkins, and they're peppering the basket.
Look out.
O'Neal, and put some pepper on that one. No don't, but he gets the two amongst three players. Three players try and stop him. And three players isn't enough for Shaquille O'Neal. He'll go to the line as well.
First personal foul.
Here's the block from Nosov. And now we'll see O'Neal operate underneath. We've got Ivanov, Nosov, and you had the man behind, Karasiev, and he still scores.
Well, O'Neal just made space for himself there, didn't he? He's amongst three players. He just flexed his shoulders, took a little pivot step. There was enough space for him to go up. The other three were almost redundant.
Larry Johnson swishes a three.
Number 15, Larry Johnson, 3.
109 plays 65. So that lead that hovered around the mid-30s for some time is now out to mid-40 range. Nosov, a little bit of showboating of his own behind the back pass. Karasiev couldn't do the right thing with it. Price stops, can't hit. Johnson couldn't pull in the rebound, but it fell into the hands of Dominic Wilkins, and Larry Johnson again gets the shot up but not in, and they took 4 goes at that.
12,
Wilkins it was finally.
Wilkins.
Karasiev thought about the pass across court. Dominic, Nosov Has he got some range? Not this time. So still the 46-point game. Into the corner for Steve Smith.
Great, Steve Smith.
He needs a little bit of time to get his feet set underneath him. He can't pull the trigger as quickly as the other players, but gee, once he gets those feet set, he's got a sweet shot. Lazarevic to Ivanov. Hasn't seen a lot of court time, and that shot was an indicator. O'Neal full length to the floor. Nosov with the steal. He'll talk about that. He mentioned the bench the day I stopped Shaquille O'Neal. Finishes up with a dunk at the end to Dominic.
Well, I think it's good to see Nosov enjoying himself out there, regardless of the margin of the game. He's, like I said, it doesn't take him long to look like he's just at the end of a marathon, but somehow he finds that extra energy as soon as the ball gets in his hand, and making 2 free throws and having a steal from O'Neal there, I think is something he'll remember for a while.
Game's going to be very loose now with O'Neal firing threes, and counts the basket there to Bazarevic. He's got a couple of cheap baskets in this game. Throw them up in the direction of the ring. Hope that they're swatted away on the way down. But a 40-point ball game. Larry Johnson to work against Ivanov. Smith penetrates and dumps out to Marley. Fires a long 3-point shot, which is left short on the front of the rim. Price from the corner, and he hits the 3.
Number 5, Price.
That's a 40-point game again. 43-point game. Underneath, Babcock is hit by Dan Marley, and Babcock will step with a strike.
USA foul.
Well, just to test you on your judgment about NBA potential, let's say hypothetically you swapped over Mark Price for Bazarevic now. Just swap jerseys.
Yep.
And you put Bazarevic in the United States team. I don't think he'd look out of place.
No, he'd certainly.
He'd be driving up the middle and dishing off to O'Neal of these other people, and he'd be driving them, giving them fits as well with that. So I think he could play at that level without much doubt.
Well, he wouldn't be able to place Lindsay as long as he had a shave and a decent haircut.
Give him a feed too, I think.
121 plays 80, and under 3 minutes to go right now. Smith is met out here by Mikhailov, and Mikhailov is at least one of those who's certainly playing this out to the end. He's not been involved in anything crazy. He's certainly taken good shots all the way through, worked the boards over, played strong defense. He's very serious about this whole thing. And like him, get a game on one of my teams. Into Bazarevic. They're just a give and go. One of the most basic plays in basketball, and it works as long as you run it well. Dan Marley, that works all right too if you shoot it well.
3 points.
Way outside the 3-point line, and we've got a 45-point gap in the game. Babcock, they're reining them in now as their score further mounts. 127 to 85, under 2 minutes to go. Question of who's going to take the shot. Smith to Johnson. Pump fake. Gets the shot up there, and Larry Johnson knocks one in from outside. Hasn't been able to do too much of that. He has a total of just 8 points. 2 of 2 3-pointers though. Mikhailov gets that shot up and in. That's a sweet shot, Lindsay.
Well, I think they're all just playing for their stats now. They're just taking them in turns. A little bit of one-on-one, trading baskets. Defenses of both teams is basically conceded. They're going through the motions. But if you want to shoot it, you're allowed to.
Ivanov rebound, hit Babcock in the back to call the head. Smith gets it behind the back to Johnson, shovels it off to Wilkins, and he just makes the finger roll. So a minute to play. Bazarevic has it blocked there, and blocked by Mark Price. Mark Price wouldn't make too many blocks in the basketball game, but had a bit of a smile about that one. Bazarevic gets rid of his shadow Price, and it's Larry Johnson who takes over on him. Almost stole it off him. Ivanov dumps it off to find Babcock for 2.
Number 10, Sergei Babcock.
So what's the final margin going to be? That's the only interest we've got here. It's out to 43 points now. Could be 46 if that goes. No. and 27 seconds left on the clock. Bazarevic for 3. US may take the last shot, but the way the game's being played, there might be another one after this. Smith, bit of a whirly gig out to Danny Marley. Swish for 3 more. Now Russia can take the last shot. And it goes for Ivanov. And this may count. No, it won't. Yes, they count the 2. May have been a little bit lenient with that one.
Final score,
137 to 91. And Lindsay, that game turned out fairly differently to the way we thought it might have. United States win the gold medal, but it wasn't that kind of game. It wasn't a gold medal type of game.
Well, I think the only contrast, I think that the result was predictable, perhaps not by quite the margin, but the difference between this game and others is that the United States have usually had a contest with their opponents up until half-time, and then they've turned on the gas and blown away the opposition in most cases. This time they made a statement in the first half, blew them away in the first half, and then made an exhibition of it in the second half. Russia was outmatched in this particular game, but I think a lot of it was due to the fact that they played their gold medal game last night against Croatia. It took all of the energy out of them. They really had nothing left to give tonight. But all credit to the United States. They've set us another standard. Other people might compare them with Dream Team #1, but for mine, that they've been clearly the leaders in this particular competition and deservedly world champions.
Yes, it's one of those things which we'll never know. Very much a hypothetical thing, but they leave the floor here at the Skydome to the cheers of 32,000 people, and they all seem very satisfied with what they've seen. I guess anything less, and you could have aimed some criticism at this team, but they're #1 all right. There's no disputing that, but they're so far ahead of the field. In fact, against the second best team in the world, they were a 46-point better team in the final. As they prepare things here for the championship presentation, Shaquille O'Neal, he'll win himself a gold medal here, but just repeating the final score, Russia have gone down to the USA in the final for the gold medal in the 12th World Championship of basketball, 137 to 91. Silver medals being presented by Boris Stankovic, Secretary General of FIBA. And Stankovic, well, from Croatia himself, presenting the medals to the Russian team. Just wonder how he feels about that. I know he has to take a very neutral role as the Sec General of FIBA, but I'm sure he would love to have seen the Croatians standing at least on this platform, if not the middle one. Sergei Babkov there receiving his medal, was a member of the Russian team, or the CIS team, at the Barcelona Olympics.
And Stankovic is a former player and coach himself. He played in the World Championships and for the former Yugoslavia. He knows a lot about the game.
They're the Silvers, and what a very good team. We talked about them early in the tournament as being, or early in the day, before the final, as being one of the younger teams, and they've got a bit of a mix of youth and experience there, but particularly the forward line. When you look at the likes of Mikhailov and Fetisov and Nosov, the big man in the middle, there's some young forwards there who will serve Russia well for some time to come. That's Nosov, and of course the coach who's done the job. Nosov has to bend a long way down to get his medal, and Sergei Belov, one of the most famous players in Europe ever, played on that 1972 Olympic team and that controversial win over the United States, and was just recently voted the greatest player ever in Europe.
And was the torchbearer for the Moscow Olympics as well, for the opening ceremony in Moscow, and a wonderful diplomat for the sport.
So Team Russia, the silver medalists at the World Championships of basketball in 1994. The 12th World Championships have been played here in Toronto.
And Belov came to Australia last year, and played in the Masters Games in Perth. I'm not too sure if he'll be with the the Russian team that's coming to Brisbane this year as well. But we're going to try and get him back for the Masters Games in Melbourne next year. So bring his team out. It'll be a good one for us if we can get him out to Australia next year as well.
The goals being presented by FIBA President George Killian. Derek Coleman receives his. And Coleman, who started in the final, who was a surprise starter. We thought that O'Neal would have that spot, but what a kick-start he gave them. Sean Kemp and the Seattle Supersonics, who had a disappointing year, I suppose, when the Supersonics led the NBA right throughout and then were rolled in the first round of the playoffs by the Denver Nuggets. Reggie Miller, the great guards to come out of UCLA. Famous sister Cheryl won gold at the 1984 Olympics. Now Reggie has a gold medal of his own. Joe Dumas has already gotten his. And as this star-studded lineup, as the move along to George Killian moves along to Danny Marley. Now Marley was a member of that 1988 Olympic team who didn't get gold. Beaten by the Soviet Union.
Will be a fine sense of satisfaction for him on that one now.
Marley's finally got some gold. What a star-studded lineup. And with the assistance there, Lindsay, of the Canadian Mounted Police. And they always get their man. And Shaquille O'Neal, the roar goes up from the crowd as Shaq gets his medal.
I think he may well be the man to be remembered from this tournament as well. Yep. We've seen so many outstanding players of great talent, but when you come to think of it, if there was one single item that would be most memorable from a playing point of view at this tournament, I think it would have to be Shaquille O'Neal.
So Isaiah Thomas with the medal there. He was pretty much a token member of this team, was originally selected on the team, wasn't able to take his place through injury. And the beaming face of Shaquille O'Neal. And the stars and stripes go up. Kevin Johnson, Danny Marley from the Phoenix Suns, teammates with the club. They've never had this sort of success at Phoenix, but they've had it with the United States. The James Naismith Trophy, named after the man who invented the game. And incidentally, it's fitting that it's presented here in Canada. James Naismith was a Canadian and invented the game in the United States. The US embraced it, and what is it, about 102 years ago now?
1891.
103, sorry, I was just the one out.
Will you please stand for the playing of the national anthem?
And now they'll ask the 32,616 people here, and just about everybody stayed for the presentation to stand for the anthem. Well, that's it from the Skydome here in Toronto as we leave you from the very last time. The United States, the 1994 champions.
Phil Lynch and Lindsay gaze at the Toronto Skydome. And with that triumph by the United States, we can now show you the final standings of the 1994 Men's World Basketball Championship. The gold medal, of course, goes to the United States. Russia takes silver home, and Croatia has claimed the bronze medal after defeating Greece earlier today. Australia has equalled its best ever performance at the championships after its win over Puerto Rico 96-83. The host nation Canada has achieved 7th position following today's 104-76 result over China. Then, in results already decided, Argentina came in at 9th, followed by Spain, Brazil, Germany, South Korea, Egypt, Cuba and Angola.